Hello everyone, and welcome to the weekly news update. This week I've been doing some ALA CPD points. Every year you have to do 12 hours of professional, continuous professional development, CPD. So I'm just going through the process of doing that. Normally I get sort of 5 hours allocated from the ALA conference that they hold, but that was cancelled for obvious reasons. So I'm sort of doing it in other ways. But one of the ways that I sort of log points is through reading the Professional Property magazine. So I've got a digital copy as well, but there's an interesting couple of articles in there that I want to raise points on, which I'll bring you to the screen now, which is this one. So it's about the notice process in England. So I've made some notes down here. So obviously we've got regulations, where is it? Outlining how 6-month periods will work in England will publish and come into force, so they're already in force. Agents who need to issue section notices as a result of tenants incurring rent arrears or misleading information must allow 6 months before gaining possession. However, if the rent arrears exceed 6 months rental payments, then the notice period will reduce to 4 weeks. And there are several other scenarios are addressed in this in a slab structure of possession proceedings. For instance, in cases of domestic abuse or riot, 2 weeks notice will be sufficient. Where landlords are seeking possession as a result of antisocial behaviour, 4 weeks. And if there's been a failed right to rent update check, 12 weeks notice will be required. So obviously, as you know, Section 21 notices are up to 6 months at the moment. They were 3, usually are 2. So yeah, and then also there's going to be a winter truce on enforcement evictions. You can see this here. So essentially, bailiffs will not be permitted to evict people over sort of a Christmas period. Crazy. All in a bid for, you know, the COVID situation, the government trying to help people that are, you know, need the help, right? But obviously a lot of people that don't. There's pre-action protocol as well. The UK government has stated that its intention is to introduce a pre-action protocol for the private rented sector in England and Wales. There's a series of steps that a landlord must take prior to a possession claim. So obviously, that's part of our process as well. You don't just sort of, someone doesn't pay rent, you slap them with like a Section 21 straight away and, you know, go all guns blazing. It's a people business, right? You speak to people, you sort of understand what's going on, ask the relevant questions, and you know, use your gut instinct to sort of think if they're telling the truth or not. Most people are, right? You've got to give people a bit of slack where necessary. We certainly have, and we have been helping multiple housemates and tenants alike across our portfolios during this difficult time. It's about being fair to everyone, right? So yes, but it seems pretty crazy. So all the more important to be even more choosy in this market, even when there is less people to choose from. It's that balancing act, right? Difficult time, but also there's a backlog of cases, and I thought this was really interesting. So I'm sorry if this is a bit small, but I wanted to bring this up. ALA Property Mark estimates that the possession claim, so obviously the courts are sort of shut now, but they predict a potential backlog of over 62,000 business as usual landlord possession claims to be processed across England and Wales, even like without even considering any claims for possession that may have arisen directly as a result of COVID-19. That's massive. It's absolutely massive. There'll be a huge backlog of cases. Now, the article says that they are almost having sort of some Nightingale courts. So they're going to have some pop-up courts to help with the backlog. I hope they do. Crazy time. I want to bring you to another article about the Renters Reform Bill, which is I've gone past it, page 32 here. I find this really interesting. This is some old news, but they brought it up in this magazine. This one is the September to October magazine. Let me find it actually on my actual magazine. But yeah, really interesting. They're talking about setting out a bill so that they would get rid of Section 21 notices, but essentially they would have a better system and court system and a dedicated court for landlords to get their properties back. So it's done in a more fair way, which I think would actually be pretty good if it was fair and quick and a good simple system. Then yes, I think that would be a good idea. A lifetime deposit as well. So the government it's not really gone anywhere, but it's sort of saying how tenants can have like a lifetime deposit, because obviously when you're going from rented to rented, you still have to pay the deposit on the incoming property that you move to, and there is some delay of getting the old one back, so tenants struggle doing that. ROPA found from their surveys that tenants can afford deposits, but it's paying two up front for that short amount of period that people struggle with. So they're talking about a lifetime deposit, and if there's a way of better doing that, and then creating a database of rogue landlords and property agents. Absolutely think there should be. Which leads me nicely onto ROPA. I don't know if you've heard of ROPA. So essentially they're going to be bringing in legislation, so if anyone manages a property, so a letting agent, or you're a friend, you manage your friend's property, you have to be at a minimum level 3 qualified to do so. Directors will require level 4, and there isn't, it's still early days, it's definitely coming into play, but it will be coming into play. Yeah, directors level 4. They don't know whether if you're self-managing landlord will you need it or not. It's just, yeah, it's still early days. There's not a lot of time on that. But if I go to the front page, I'll go back up. Our mentor has actually, I think that's actually, you know, it's worth mentioning. Let it load. JP. He's now one of the board directors of Arla, so he speaks directly to government on policies and stuff like that. He had to be voted in. I obviously voted him in. Yeah, owns Castledean Sales and Letting. I think they have 2,300 properties under management at the moment, growing all the time. Literally spoke to him yesterday, still speak to him quite a lot. Yeah, he's looking to double his business soon with a rent to own strategy, which is it's amazing. There's the podcast actually. What was I listening to? I think it was Andy Graham's podcast. It is called the HMO podcast with Andy Graham and JP is on there. Worth a listen. Yeah, JP class as a friend and a business mentor, and has massively helped this business grow. He's helping us with something at the moment, and I'm sure we'll be working together more closely in the future soon. So yes, interesting time. I thought that was a bit of news to update you with. Right, okay, now I want to talk about room rent in Crawley and go over some statistics. A couple of days ago, 2 days ago, I took a cross section of 14 ensuite rooms on spare room at the moment and averaged out the rents for that, and it came to £565 for an ensuite room. Not as high standard as VCC Homes properties are, but nonetheless, I don't think we're average, being a bit big-headed. We're not an average agency, and our stock isn't the average, so we are above average. But looking at the market as a whole, for £565 you can get an ensuite room. So we've historically, and still do, sell rooms at sort of £750, even up to £800. But when there's such a price, you know, the average room rent for an ensuite, from what I know, was around the £650 mark. So as you can see, over the months, over this year, it seems like every couple of months room rents have gone down 25, 25, 25, 25. So now the average is near, £550 for an ensuite. So we've lost nearly £100 off of the room, ensuite room. So I didn't do an analysis of non-ensuite rooms, but obviously they've got to be lower, right? I've seen rooms being advertised for sub £400, so less than £400. Obviously non-ensuite, and I think it was a single, I'm not sure. But there's quite a few of them as well, so it's crazy. Great time if you're a tenant looking for a room, great time to buy. Landlords are clearly struggling out there. I spoke to another agent in the building, and he said he's got a landlord with 100 HMO rooms and he's got 40 empty, which is crazy. it does seem that literally I went and sold a room yesterday, and then before I'd even got back to the office, I'm having a conversation with someone giving in their notice. So it seems like you sell one comes on. You sell one comes on. We are, what we got? We've got less than 10% of our rooms available. We've got 8 rooms available through natural notices. We've got 2 people that want to end their contract early, so that's 10 rooms. So yeah. Yeah, and we've got 85 rooms, so it's not bad, but we had it down to 4, so it's almost doubled in the last week or so. It's crazy, it just fluctuates all the time. But what I want to show you is that we've got a bit of software, and it analyses spare room every month. And I just want to show you that in October, the highest amount of people were looking for rooms between the 500 and 550 mark. Don't get me wrong, the second highest was 600 to 650. So these are your 2 main brackets, but the third highest is 400 to 450. Yeah, this is come right down. So if actually we can go through the months, like September, you can see that this was the highest, 600 to 650. August, back to being cheaper, and this kind of fluctuates. July, that's still there. And this is only for people that bothered to put an advert up, right? Some people don't bother and they just look, and that's probably the majority of people, because as you can see, there's only 16 people, you know, here. So that as a total of people looking, that's not an awful lot of people, sub 50, I'd say. But the data is there nonetheless, and we're looking at that sort of data. So going back to last month in October, ages 30 to 34, 25 to 29, 20 to 24, main demographic. But we've got quite a few people in this age bracket. Sold a room yesterday actually. I think she said she was 53. So we've got that sort of demographic of people, because the people of all ages need accommodation, right? For various circumstances and reasons. But as ever, I don't know if this is interesting. Obviously, we predominantly are in Crawley, so I wonder if it's looking at what people are looking for in Crawley and then their secondary sort of location. Because obviously, if our main area was, say, Horsham, I wonder if that would be higher or not. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it pulls this data, to be fair. But as you can see, Crawley's streaks and miles ahead. But if you're an investor and you're looking to buy and whatnot, Horsham's the second highest place. House price over there a lot higher. Of course, but it's a desirable area. We've got East Grinstead, where I've currently moved to and live now. I lived in Lingfield previously, so sort of know the area. Haywards Heath, and then we grew up in Hawley. People looking there, Gatwick or Hawley, blah blah blah. So that's interesting. And here's another thing: most people are available immediately or within a week. So I always say I get the 2 extremes. I either do a viewing and they want a room in and extremely close, like 6 days or whatever, really, like they want to move in immediately, or I get people that are sort of need to give a month's notice. It seems to always be in that sort of extreme ends. So yeah, there's not actually that many people that search that seems to be more immediate, right? Because I think people know that there's rooms available and they can go out there and pick one up quick. Male and female splits, couples, en suites to normal, occupations, pet, smoker sizes. Yeah, don't know if you're interested in that sort of stuff, but I feel like it's gone on quite long enough. Yeah, that's the market update. Gone a bit slow in the office. It was pretty, we had a good month in October. Like I said, we brought it right down. It seems to have slowed right down now. It's a naturally slow time for lettings anyway, sort of coming up to mid-November, early December into December is quiet. Normally, don't get me wrong, some people start work in January and they get stuff sorted. So yeah, I'm hoping typically it picks up in January. We shall see what's happening with a vaccine. You know, are people going to take that and all that sort of stuff? All of that is part of it. I saw the stock market went up with the news of potential vaccine and all that jazz. But you know, realistically, how quick is the vaccine going to actually help anything? What needs to happen is Gatwick needs to be back up and running, and people need to be working in and out of that airport ASAP for it to bounce back quicker. I've just sold a room to a lady who is a cabin crew for Wizz Air. She come down from Luton. Obviously Wizz Air are looking to increase their base and flights out of Gatwick, so long as all this jazz. So you know, if they can do testing at the airport and all that we mentioned on a previous one. That would massively help. But I think as for now, as we head towards Christmas, we're still in a lockdown and all that sort of stuff. Oh yeah, I completely forget that we're in a lockdown. It doesn't feel like it to us because we're probably busier more than ever. But obviously that is slowing down. Yeah, do you know what? That's a good point. I didn't even think it slowed down just because we're in a lockdown, right? But we're operating how lockdown or no lockdown, we have operated to higher standards anyway. So we've got questionnaires, COVID questionnaires that go out to people before they view. Make sure they wear a mask, we open up the doors, hand sanitizer, all that sort of stuff when we're doing viewings. So it's business as usual for us because we operate as carefully as we can. Right, it's going to love you and leave you. I hope you had a good week. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you next time.